Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. I believe it is evening. It's Pauline Lehman here. How are you doing? How have you been? How have your families been? I hope you've had a great term. 7 weeks have flown by. I can't believe it. I hope you've had a great term, yes, and now it's half-term holidays. And I hope you're all geared up for the holidays. Time to relax, time to connect with your children, have fun, and, be more relaxed, really. So I've been away. Currently out of the country for the past, all of this term, half term. That's why I've not been very, very frequent on air. However, I decided to come on today because a couple of parents have asked about supporting their children, how to support their children to choose GCSE subjects. And so that is why I'm on today to talk about that. I'm also going to just quickly talk about a few important things coming up in the academic year. So it's half term, and for all students, obviously, as we move into the next half of the first term, students will be doing their, end of term assessments. And as I always say, assessments are the best way for a student to show the teacher what they're capable of doing, their ability, really. And these assessments are really important. Thanks for joining. Please let me know who is on. Thank you for joining us. So I was talking about a few things that will be happening after the half term. So you have the end of year assessments that will come up towards the end of November. So please ensure that your child is properly prepared for these assessments. They are very, very important. They go in the record and they help your teachers, they help your child's teachers to set targets for them. So it's important that a child goes into any assessment 100% prepared. Coming up as well for students in examination classes, we've got mock exams. So some schools will do their mock exams in November, others will do mock exams in January. In the half term, I'm going to be putting up an online webinar for students in examination classes. So I'm going to put it on Facebook and on social media. If you want to sign up your children in examination classes, that's year 10, 11, and A levels, really, to help them prepare for these exams appropriately and reduce examination stress. So you've got those mock exams coming up. We've got the exams coming up. We've got entrance exams into private schools coming up in January. For those of you preparing your kids for those exams as well, I wish you all the best. Now, half term, I always say half term is such an important part of the school year. We are blessed to have that break. And I always think it's such an important part of the school year because it's a time when children take a bit of a break. They can rest, and it's a time when children can look back. You can look back at goals. You can revisit the academic goals, and other goals you set for your children. Thank you for joining. Please let me know who's joined us. Just send a message, put in a comment. Thank you very much for joining. So half term is always a great time, not just for your child to rest, but for you to revisit the goals you set at the start of the school year with your child. So sit down with them, have a look at the goals, and then change strategy, set higher goals, find out if they need any support. It's a time to catch up on those difficult topics. There is more time, there's no pressure, so you can work, do a bit of work daily with them on those areas, just to brush up those difficult areas, so that as they step into the next half of the term, they are fully equipped to be able to, because they'll build on what they've done already, to move on with confidence. Because when children understand the work, it helps build confidence, confidence to face maths or any subject that they have been struggling with. So please take advantage of the half term and do what you have to do. Have fun with your child, connect with your child, go out and just ensure that the children have rest, have fun, and also have a bit of time to build on those areas where there were gaps and loopholes. So today I'm going to be talking about choosing GCSE subjects. For a lot of parents in secondary school, you would notice, if you have children in year 8 and 9, you will notice that they will be talking about choosing GCSE subjects. So between now and January, most schools would be expecting children to have chosen their GCSE subjects. So it's important for you as a parent to not leave it to chance. It's true that schools talk about it and tell the children what the options are, but as parents, I'm going to be talking about your role, how you can support your child to not just choose subjects for the sake of choosing subjects, but to choose subjects with the end in mind. So students choose GCSE subjects. Mostly in most schools, that happens in year 9, but in some schools it happens in year 8 as well. And I think it's quite early because a lot of students are not quite sure about what they want to do in future yet. However, that is where you as a parent need to step in. It's really important to take this process very, very seriously, because GCSE grades just showcase a child's academic ability. And it's important because the subjects that a child or a student chooses would be tied into the subjects that they'll go on to study, for example, at A levels. Though some students would go on to study some subjects at A levels that are not necessarily offered at GCSE level. But for a lot of students who know what they want to do already, the student, in university, for example, the subjects that they would choose, the GCSE subjects they would choose would naturally tie into subjects they want to study at A levels, and it also influences their career pursuits. In some careers, for example, we need students to have at least an A to C grade in English, maths, and science. And it's interesting because a lot of students do not really appreciate that it's important to do well in those core subjects. A lot of careers, you need to be able to have between an A to C grade in those core subjects. I'm going to talk about the core subjects shortly. Therefore, a child needs to put in that effort to not, limit their opportunities. I've had students who have had to come and redo, in lower 6, redo maybe English or redo maths because they didn't do well in those subjects. So it's important that we rather than take on a fire brigade approach to deal with the casualties, we prepare our children intentionally so that they make the right choices. Now, what is your role as a parent? You play a very, very important role in supporting your child through this process, and it's important to bear in mind, to start with the end in mind. What does that mean? So to start to talk to your child. So it's half term. I thought, talk about this now so that during the half term, if you have a child in year 8 or 9 who is required to start to think about subject choices, then during the half term, you have enough time to actually sit down with your child and start to talk about what careers they want to study. Now, studies show that students who by the time they're in year 6 know what careers they want to study, they are more likely to gain admission into top universities because a student knows what they're going to be doing, so they know where to put in the energy. So things don't just happen by chance. So during the half term, talk about what career your child wants to go into. What do they want to study at university? I assure you, we can't take it for granted that children will know what they want to study at university. So let's spend this time to talk about it. You need to also look at entry requirements. So you know what subject your child wants to study at university. What are the entry requirements? What are the best universities that offer these courses? I believe that every child has got ability to do really, really well given the right support. And so I believe that if a child is supported early on, they can go on to do really well. If a child is a high achiever, then why should they not go for the best universities that offer the courses they want to do? So find out with your child during these holidays what are the best universities in this country offering the courses they want to study. Now, when you found that out, the next thing you want to do is to find out what are the entry requirements. So what are they expecting, what sort of subjects and grades are they expecting them to have done at GCSE level, at A levels? What are the grades they need to be able to have an admission into those universities? Now, based on that, and please ensure that you do that research with your child. So sit down with them in front of a computer and do that research with your child. Hi, Peace, how are you? Thank you for joining. Okay, please, for those of you who are on, please feel free to share. Hello, Bookie, how are you? Looking young and beautiful. Oh my God, thank you for that, Bookie. And bless you. Thank you so much. Please share the video. We're talking about how your role as a parent in supporting your child make GCSE subject choices. And the half-term, I think, is a good time to actually do that research so that your child makes informed decisions rather than choose subjects because maybe their friends are choosing it or because they like the teacher, or maybe because, one reason or the other. Students always have different reasons why they choose subjects. So please, share the video. It might benefit one or two people. So also, I always believe in being real. Yes, so we set realistic targets so your child's academic ability. I know for a lot of people within our community, we want our kids to be doctors and to go into those very, very academically challenging or demanding, let me say demanding careers. Now, as a parent, you need to know your child's ability. If you know your child's ability, you won't want to send them into a career where they will struggle even to get the grades at A levels to be able to do it. So your child's career choice ideally should be tied in to their ability, yes, and your child's ability because you have been working with them, you've been supporting them. So I'm talking here about parents who are actively involved in their children's studies. Now, if you're actively involved, you will know your child's strengths, you will know their area of strength, you will know maybe their strength is in maths, maybe their strength is in history or geography, you will know their strength. So when you know their strength, you know their learning style, that would help and guide you and them to be able to make those choices. Now, because if a child's learning style is kind of it doesn't fit in with the subject they want to study at GCSE and A levels, they're going to really struggle to get top grades. So please bear that in mind. And it's important to ensure that we encourage children not to choose subjects based on I said before, whether they like the teacher or not, whether their friends are choosing those subjects or not, and that kind of thing. It's got to be based on where they are going to. So beginning with the end in mind and, look at the different options. Even if, as I said before, I know we're very keen on medicine and pharmacy and courses like that. But I tell you the truth, any child who works in their area of strength is going to do very well. So if your child's strength is even in art or maybe drama or music, and they're getting the A's and A stars at A level, I tell you, they're going to have a place in, Oxford, Cambridge, in Russell Group universities. And once they get in there, the sky is their limit. So I don't think that every child will definitely go into medicine, but I believe that whatever strength your child has got, please put in the effort, support them. We want the children to achieve the highest grade in their area of strengths. Yes, because if you're going to force a child whose area of strength is in history or geography to go into biology and chemistry because we want them to become a doctor, then they may not get the grade they want to get. They may end up, I've seen children who've had to redo lower sixth because they went into chemistry and biology and it was really challenging for them. So please, let's be real. Let's know our children, let's know their strength, and let's know their academic ability. Now, what are the choices children get? Now, there are 3 core subjects that all students have to study. English language. English literature used to be compulsory, but it isn't anymore. So English language, in some schools, English literature is. Again, schools would offer a range of subjects depending on the nature of the students in those schools. So you've got English language, you've got maths, and you've got science. Now, for the sciences, you've got double science. If a student chooses double science, in the GCSE, at the end of it, they have 2 grades in science. If a student chooses triple science, they end up with 3 grades in science. So at the end, if they have 9 or 10 subjects, 3 of those would be chemistry, biology, and physics. So that's the difference between double science and triple science. Now, a student who studies double science will study about 2/3 of the triple science program. Now, teachers would encourage students who, if your child, for example, wants to go on to study a science-based career, maybe they want to go into the medical field or into maybe engineering, anything purely science-based, those students will be encouraged to do triple award, a triple science. The reason is because they're going to cover the full range of the science course at GCSE, which when they go on to A levels to study maybe physics or chemistry or biology, 2 or 3 of them, they wouldn't be lagging behind. Remember, I said before that the double science program covers 2/3 of the triple science course. So if your child wants to go on to study maybe engineering, and they need chemistry or physics to study engineering, and they only study 2/3 of the course at GCSE, they will obviously get an admission, a place to do physics and chemistry at A levels, but because they've missed out on 1/3 of the course, which usually is the higher level content, they may struggle. They'll have to do a lot of work on their own to be able to catch up. I hope that is understood, because parents, don't usually get it, and then when the information comes home, they don't really understand. So if your child, and that is why I said it's important to start with the end in mind. If your child is going to study a science-based career at university, then I would encourage them to take the triple science program. If they are not going to do any sciences, the double award is absolutely fine and satisfactory for them. They're not going on to do any sciences at A levels. They don't need to put on that pressure on themselves. Remember, the more subjects a student takes, the more content there is to tackle. They may end up spreading themselves thin and may struggle to get very good grades at GCSE. So the key here is not about the number of subjects a student takes as compared to the number of relevant subjects they choose, and the potential to get top grades in those subjects. Because if a student gets an A at GCSE, maybe science, and they want to go to a grammar school, for example, a lot of grammar schools would require students to study, to be able to have at least an A, in the subject they want to do at A levels. Now, some grammar schools are different. If you're going for the top grammar schools, they'll require that if you want to study biology and chemistry or physics or maths, for example, at A levels, they'll require you to get an A at GCSE. Some grammar school would accept a B. So we're talking here about parents who want to position their children for greatness. Yes? So you have the opportunity to work with your child, and so you can support them and ensure that they get into the right places. So they have the right grades at GCSE, and then they are able to get onto the top schools that will enable them to be able to do really well at A levels to get a place in a top university. So as I describe this, please, if you have any questions, just type this in. Again, this is something that's really, really important. Please help me share this video so that it's going to benefit one or two parents who are currently, who have children in year 8 or 9, who are currently considering GCSE subjects at university. So the next thing, so we've spoken about the core subjects, which is English, literature, maths, and sciences. Students also have the opportunity to choose options. So the options are usually in 4 categories. It's art, which is art and design, music, drama, dance, and media art, and so on. So students are offered a range of subjects in this area. So there's design and technology, there is humanities, which is history and geography, and then we've got modern for foreign languages. Now, other schools, especially the top grammar schools and independent schools, offer a wider range of choices. But in most schools, these 4 areas, will be offered to your child to choose from. I must say that though these offers are made to your child, they're not obliged to choose one from each area. They can choose more than one in an area depending on their interest. And I want to encourage you, as parents, it's not about your choices. It's not about what you want them to do. As I said before, we are supporting them. We are wanting to focus on their strengths. So it's not what you want them to do. In this area, that is the area where they can showcase their strengths. So it could be geography or history. It could be German or Spanish or French. It's about the area where your child has got strengths in, because when they choose subjects they are good at and that they enjoy, then they're more likely to get really high grades in their exams. And also, as I said before, that we help them choose based on their academic ability. And how many subjects they choose, again, it depends on your child's academic ability. I know where we come from in Cameroon, for example, students do 10 GCE subjects at, a GCSE level and that kind of thing. And at a point in time, it becomes a bit like something to brag about. Now, in the UK, it's not something to brag about. It's not about the number of subjects you choose as compared to the grades you get. It's the grades you get that are going to open doors. You need at least 5, for a lot of professions, a student needs at least 5 GCSE subjects, 3 in the core subjects and 2 others. And also there is the vocational courses in a lot of schools for students who probably are not very, very academic. Okay, students who have proved not to do well in exams, they will be offered vocational courses. Some students would need to take a mix of the academic and the vocational courses, okay, to be able to make up their subjects. But again, it's got to be based on what your child wants to do. I've had parents who have come to speak to me about being worried that their child is doing, is wanting to choose BTech or, a vocational program. It's about your child's ability. It's about what your child has been able to achieve so far, been able to prove so far to the teacher that they're able to achieve. So it's based on that, and that is why I speak a lot about active parental involvement. There's no way you can prove to the teacher what you're capable of doing apart from showing your ability through tests. Unfortunately, in the UK, that is the reality, that it's only through tests that you can prove your academic ability. So let's prepare those children well for those tests, so that when it comes to teachers helping them or guiding them, the teachers will just have to do what they think the child, or lead the child in the way they think they are able to successfully proceed and have the results that they believe they will be able to get. So that is that. So, some ideas for choosing subjects. It's important to note, for those parents who've got high achieving children doing really well, and who are looking at going into Russell Group universities. Russell Group universities are the top universities, with Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial College, and the others being, at the top. If you're interested in that, please research it. So we've got the Russell Group universities. If you're interested in having your child go to such universities, then it's important to note that these universities have certain subjects they consider to be valued subjects or facilitating subjects. And these facilitating subjects are subjects like maths, further maths, physics, chemistry, biology. That's for the sciences. And for the humanities, it's English, geography, history, languages, which include the classic and the modern languages. Now, these are facilitating subjects. So these are the subjects where children score top marks in. Those universities would focus more on those. And then we've got the non-facilitating subjects, which are some of the options that we spoke about before, like RE, music, DT, economics, psychology, art, food and nutrition, media, and so on. Now, those other subjects come in to kind of broaden a child's option, especially for students who don't know what subject they want to do yet. It's important to ensure that they choose a good mix, again, based on their strength, so that they don't limit themselves, leave their options wide. Okay, so I think that is about what I wanted to share with you today, to do with helping your child choose options for their GCSEs. It's really, really important. Please spend time. I said it's key to start with the end in mind. So spend time during the half term to look up, to discuss with your child what careers they want to go into. For parents of young children, I encourage you to start to discuss careers even from year 4. It's true that sometimes they may want to do one and then next year they change and then they change again. But what it does, it starts to focus them. I've taught students even in year 11 who didn't know what they wanted to study at university. When a child knows what they want to study at university, they start to focus the energy. They start to focus their interest in it. They're reading about it, reading wide about it. And as a parent, you expose them to those careers so that the interest is ingrained. And that way, you're sure that they will be able to do really well when they get into it. It's not going to be something that you force them to do. It's going to be something that they really want to do, and they're going to excel at it. So I don't know if there are any questions. If there are any questions, please type in your questions. And as I said before, next week, I'm going to be doing a workshop. It's going to be an online workshop for students in year 10, year 11, 12, and 13. As we know, the GCSE program this year has changed. It's now very, very intense. A lot of students last year were at a breaking point. So we want to ensure that our children start preparing for these exams. Remember that there's 2 years worth of content, so they need strategy. They need enough, strategy to be able to help them to go through without breaking down, without experiencing stress. So I'm going to send this information across, okay, this weekend, so that you can register your child, and it's going to be a webinar. I'm going to send them the link once they register, and hopefully be able to support them that way. If you have any questions, if you have any topic you would want me to talk about, please just type it in the chat box or inbox me, and I'm going to be very happy to come back. At the minute, I'm away. I'm not in the UK. I've been in America for the past 7 weeks. Okay, I'm here in our office in Maryland, but I'll still be able to, to support you as much as I can. Okay, When is the workshop gold out? It's going to be next week. It's going to be next week, Tuesday. But I'm going to send you the information. I'm going to email those who are on my email list. If you want to join my mailing list, please do so at www.starrichards.co.uk. So join my mailing list, and when I send out emails, then you can know when these events come up. So I wish you all an amazing half term. Make the most of it. Don't forget to revisit the goals, educational goals with your children. Make the most of it. Have fun, talk with your children, bond with them, and have a wonderful weekend. Okay. God bless you richly. Bye-bye.